Welcome back to Craig's Classroom. And in this video for CMath, video 2, we're going to be talking about sessions 2 through 4. So CMath, support and enrichment experiences in math. Sessions 2 through 4 are going to be a continuation of the CGI tasks, a scavenger hunt, and a subitizing task in which you're going to practice asking good questions to probe students' thinking. So the assessments of the child's thinking, which is a continuation of day 1, is going to be basically taking interviews that I already have developed out from the Teach Math Research Group about the 4 operations, about base 10, and about fractions. So the problem-solving interviews that you see over on the left side is like a decision tree. As the students solve correctly or incorrectly the problems, you either go to a more challenging problem or you go to an easier problem so that you can really gauge and bracket where they're at in their thinking. Every single one of these interviews already has tasks and the decision tree framed out for you. All you need to do is go in and change the numbers and change the contexts so that it's more relevant for kids. So you might think of this kind of like Mad Libs, where you've got blanks that are missing and you need to fill them in based on what you've learned from the first session that you had with the child. How you prepare for your CGI assessment interviews is that you make sure you really emphasize to them that this isn't a test. This is just to see where they're at, to learn more about their mathematical thinking. What's really important is that children know if you're not prepared, so you have to be prepared ahead of time. And what this looks like is to already have problems adapted. I would have your Jamboard set up. I would have your Google slide deck already set up. I would have your modifications made for your number choice and for your context already set up, and that you're not doing this in the moment because that's going to be confusing for them. I would make sure that they have tools and other things available so that they can communicate their thinking in multiple ways. If they can have a piece of paper handy, if you're doing this virtually, they can hold it up, or they can use a Jamboard in which they can record their thinking. Also consider using the Google slide deck as another way for them to go ahead and communicate what they know. If you're doing this face-to-face, you can do this with a piece of paper with markers or pens, blocks, or other tools that you might have available. Make sure that if the child, whether they get the answer right or wrong, that you ask follow-up and probing questions. Don't just let them give an answer and then move on to the next question. There's always something that you can ask them that supports, clarifies, or pushes their thinking more. Make sure that you both verbally read the question to them and that you also have it written out so that they can read it if they need it. In session 3, you're going to do a scavenger hunt. So you're going to base your scavenger hunt on what you learned from the pre-assessments to find and or identify various objects in their house that have some type of mathematical quality to them. So for example, if a child needs help about thinking about common objects that come in groups, you can ask them to look in the pantry for food that comes in a package set and to help them to think about maybe how many objects this might be if it's like 6 packages of these juice boxes that comes in groups of 6. Another example might be items that they can break into smaller or equal-sized pieces that might show fractions. The 4th session is basically going to be your counting cookies or growing steps task that we did in class, but you're going to make your own subitizing arrangement. So I would prefer that you don't use the dot arrangement down there. You can use the growing steps arrangement or another variation of it. You can also look back at the fractals that shows the numbers 1 through 48 that you might also use. But make something that it's objects that kids want to count and group. Don't just make them dots. I would also make them objects that are going to be relevant based on the getting to know you interview as well. Just as a reminder, we have video 3 that's coming up that's going to talk more in depth about more open-ended tasks that you can do as a group that also gives you more freedom to go ahead and create the tasks. So once again, I'll ask, in what ways are you seeing the brilliance in your student? Thank you.